Whatever. Go for it, Rick. There we go. We're good.
Do we want the PowerPoint back up there?
Yeah,
I
go
got
into
it.
the PowerPoint back up just for us to see. Start talking about flushing stuff down the toilet on the internet. Forget the snap it too. Hit it on snap. Put it on the gram. Let everybody know what's going on. Matt's got a TikTok for parks. Yeah.
You're fine. All right. Keep it moving here. Piggybacking just a little bit on Cynthia's comments there. Um, what we did since last discussion, we just continue to look at our CIP projects, making sure we have them in the right period, uh, updating cost if needed, and and you will see here shortly, instead of putting a whole project in 1 year, knowing that we're not going to get it done in 1 year, we've this with this aging infrastructure, um, like Cynthia mentioned, rate increases, pursuing grants, and debt funding will all be looked at in the near future. All right. Nothing has obviously changed on this one. We are still looking at a proposed 15%. You need to change. Looking at the general fund proposed balance, um, we did have no increase in revenue. We did not do any changes to that. We did increase the expense line by about 250,000. Most of those expenses are coming from obviously CIP projects. Some of them coming from increased engineering cost. So what that did to the bottom line is decrease it almost one for one by 250,000. Our first discussion that ending fund balance was at 4.1 million. I got it. This is a new slide that was from the direction of the board. We added in this comparison that we did for schedule of fees, we added those cities to the right. Um, these are the cities that do not necessarily have city-owned water and wastewater. So as we look at this, Parkville, they have a split. Their water is Missouri American Water, and their wastewater is the city. For Cameron, it is both the city, but they have Alliance manage both of those. And for Riverside, both water and wastewater is Missouri American Water.
Yeah, and they're in an increase year right now.
Right. They have petitioned the state for an increase.
How big is Cameron? Is it comparable?
Similar size, but it's got a couple
Yeah.
prisons.
Oh,
So those count towards their population. We don't our huh? Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any questions on that one? Since that one was new. All right, we'll move on. Looking at the 5-year projected cash flow, this does not include the COP issuance that we've been talking about, roughly 4.3 million. So at this point, we'd be hitting reserve in 2026
If there's no additional grant
if
funding
no
and
additional
bills come
COP
due.
or anything.
Yeah. We've been pushing that COP out now 4 years.
Yeah,
So
we have. Here's just another way of looking at it, looking at our reserve policy. Again, that would be 2026 where we our reserve. And again, this does not include the COP issuance. Now I do, in these next two slides, I do add COP issuance. So 2026, we would still be good. And then in 2027, we would go back down. And this is where Cynthia was talking. We are going to have to be making some hard decisions at some additional debt financing. We do have some very large projects coming up in the near future. All right, another one just with the cash reserve, showing it really hitting at the end of 2026, going into 27. And this reserve is 20% of operating budget. This is a good example of one of the changes we've made since first discussion. What we did here, knowing 144th Street project is not going to be complete in 25, we moved some of the expense and federal earmark money into 26. Going forward into 26 and on, we do not have too many changes that we've made. This slide, I would like to point out that second to last line item, the water plant expansion, phase one construction at 7.5 million. This was a project. This is a great example of projects being pushed back. This project started and was earmarked to start in 23, moved to 25, moved to 27, and now it's at 29. This is an example of projects we cannot be pushing off too much further. And of course, this one is based on population growth, and we'll have no option but to do this. These next couple slides. Is that black? Need to put it, can we move that down? These next couple slides, there shouldn't be any real changes to them. Water impact fees and the wastewater impact fees, roughly the same. These are funds that we save up for the bigger projects.
And Rick, just to clarify, we save those up for the bigger projects, but those are impact fees. Those are costs that developers have paid for the impact to the system, and they can only be used on those projects that affect expansion of the system.
As we move to the transportation sales tax fund, these numbers have, for 25, the commercial sidewalk came in just a little less than we had originally budgeted. That is one of the few changes on this slide. And here we can look, as we look at the reimbursement that we're always out searching for, as well as our expenses kind of go hand in hand. Looking at the capital improvement sales tax fund, these changes were very small, mostly dealt with minor changes to dollar amounts as we get better figures going forward. And again, just a cash flow of the capital improvement sales tax. Again, as we go through some of these bigger projects, those are areas that we are paid to get either grants or federal money. Park and stormwater sales tax fund, there shouldn't have been any changes from first discussion on this one. And again, as we look here, we have the Smiths Fork Park Complex in 28. As you can see, major expenses take the fund balance down pretty good. There's been no changes in the vehicle and equipment replacement fund. We are still at 38 vehicles. The expenses, our anticipated expenses will closely mimic the revenue that's transferred to pay for this fund. And last but not least is the sanitation fund. Both of those will go hand in hand with revenue and expenses. And again, this is a GFL ran program. That's our third party that does the trash.
Hey, Rick, I have a question on that slide, that previous slide. With the increase of GFL by 3.66 and our increase of 4.5, that 0.8, whatever it is what does that go for? Does that go for the
That is
leftover?
looking that way this year because in 24, we did not raise the senior rate. We kept the senior discounted rate lower. That did not get reflected in the GFL contract necessarily. So that brought down a little bit of the fund balance. What that's going to do, that difference will also just build up that fund balance just a hair. And then once we are very comfortable with it, because this is the GFL or the sanitation fund will be the first fund money's taken out of when someone doesn't pay their utility bills. So that fund needs to be roughly $70,000-$80,000 to be comfortable. And then anything extra that we deem necessary above that amount, we will add, like, I think we were talking extra large pickup trash days or extra events for the community.
Okay, like the hazardous waste pickup and stuff
Right.
too, right? Does that go in there? Okay.
Yep, that is
Okay.
part of it.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Yep.
And as we discussed this summer when we were talking on the budget, spent a good amount of time on the development of the trash rates. One of the things to keep in mind is we have fluctuation in the number of customers. So we want to ensure that we've got those funds available in the fund balance if people are paying their water bills late or pay their bills late, we want to ensure that we've got the constant stream of revenue to be able to pay for the services.
Okay, thank you.
All right, here's all the funds, CIP in total. You can see the total down to the right there for 5 years, projected to be about 46.5 million. This is the all funds summary. As you can see, we have roughly 16 funds. Each one of these funds during the year typically collects some kind of revenue, has some kind of expenses, ends with a 2025 projected ending balance. And that is it. Any questions? I think we got our guidance on compensation.
Everybody good to see a budget next meeting? Running out of time.
Yes.
I again want to thank staff and all of you for the time that we've spent on this. Staff has been working on this since the spring. Really, Rick got here in February and we started on it immediately. Budget development is really a year-round process. But you all have been really immersed in these numbers since the retreat and appreciate your focus and attention to that. And we're excited to be able to bring forward the budget for your approval here at the next couple of readings. And we'll have a budget document later in the month for you. Well, in October for you.
I have two quick questions, maybe one. I believe it was last meeting or maybe the meeting prior, we had roughly $200,000, if I remember right, that was we wanted to budget for redo of the some plans. $200,000 that we had there to go for some wastewater development plans, some two plans. I'd have to look them up again. Was it wastewater? It was two of them. One was like a 300-page.
Yeah, you need to go up. You need to go up and.
Chuck, you need to talk in the mic.
Bring up the Chuck. Yeah, one was, we had two of them, and one was like the old one was like 73 pages. The other one was quite bigger. I don't recall it. It was several hundred pages, I think, if I remember right, maybe 160. I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember.
We had the
been a
water
while.
and wastewater master plans previously, but we've taken one of those out. We took the water out, so the wastewater master plan was still in there because we're asking you to approve the facility plan this evening.
Okay, that's what I want. I thought that's probably where it went. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so one was removed, and the other one is we talk about later in the next meeting. Okay. Thank you. No, that was it. There was two different dollar amounts, but I got them both. Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning the work session, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Stand adjourned. Grab a break. Hopefully the internet stays on for the next meeting. Watching the radar.
Cannon says that Mo West is getting hammered on the tail. He's like, I thought we sitting outside. I'm like,
Yeah, when you
oh,
said that.
Robin has it in the band.
Oh yeah, we did.
There's nothing right now here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but up north is like all yellow. Around Cameron, St. Joe, it's all yellow.
And it's a facility plan. We need to change that. I think we got master plan. Right now we're getting a facility plan. It takes so long to develop these